Well, we haven't had Julian Edelman on in a long time. He's got his own. He's on the Fox NFL Kickoff. And we just got out of free agency. We're moving into the draft. I don't think it's a particularly strong draft. I do want to ask you about free agency. There were some rumors recently about Aaron Rodgers in Minnesota. And I thought to myself, I would wait if I was Aaron for Minnesota. Great coach, indoors, know the division, Justin Jefferson. And Minnesota, they brought in Darnold, Daniel Jones, but they wouldn't bring in Aaron even for a year. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that.
Can I hear his mic? There we go. Go ahead.
You there?
Yeah, there you go.
I do agree with that. Just for the simple situation, look, let's rewind back when Aaron Rodgers was a young, spry quarterback. There was a quarterback in his room that was playing the antics that Aaron Rodgers is literally playing now. And Aaron picked up a lot of the habits of Brett Favre. Let's not joke around about it. He's doing the same things that Brett Favre did at the end of his career. That doesn't happen by accident. So you have a young quarterback in J.J. McCarthy with the Vikings, with a quarterback genius coach in Kevin O'Connell, and you just want to throw in Aaron Rodgers, who, Week 8 last year on was great because he started to get that chemistry that he doesn't get in the offseason because he doesn't do the offseason, but he started to get that. But you're also getting all the other noise that you're going to have with Aaron Rodgers, which is a lot of distraction. And do you really want to go into this locker room, Minnesota, that went to the NFC Championship or went to the divisional round last year and really put something in there that could mess with the feng shui of what that locker room is? They're clearly very confident in McCarthy. They let Sam Darnold walk out the door. We were talking about him being an MVP till week 14 last year, which is crazy. So they have a confidence. They know what they want. I like that they didn't name him the starter because now he gets to go on and earn it. And you can't just, put in this whole process, this plan that you're preaching to the team and then name a kid who's never even played it down in the National Football League the starting quarterback after Sam Darnold leaves. So I do agree. I just went on 20 different tangents. I do agree that they didn't, with them not bringing in Aaron Rodgers.
People have said about Aaron, like Pittsburgh fans are saying, well, he doesn't fit our culture. And my take is he's not really a football culture guy. Years ago in 2020, a story came out where Green Bay told Aaron, don't be the problem. Since that article, This would be his third team in 4 or 5 years. And so I think Aaron has sent a very clear message. I am unapologetically independent. I am what I am. If you sign me, I'm going to want a couple of buddies on the team. I'm okay with you as long as you don't fool me. Whatever you like Gronk's like, I'll go to Tampa because I like the warm weather and I don't like the cold weather. So he told everybody cold weather teams, not interested. So to me, you have to have a strong culture or Aaron can kind of hijack it like the Jets. I think he could go right now to a Detroit or to a San Francisco.
Yeah.
But for instance, there were a couple signings the Patriots made. Albert Hainsworth.
Yeah.
Randy Moss. I don't think Aaron fits a lot of cultures.
I agree, but I do think he fits the Steelers culture because I believe in Mike Tomlin and the professional that he is as a head coach and how he communicates with players, that he can make it work with Aaron Rodgers. We didn't hear anything about Antonio Brown until he left the Steelers.
Yeah.
That is a magic power by Mike Tomlin, who kept all that noise in the building. So if there's any place for Aaron Rodgers to probably be okay with how he handles football, I think Mike Tomlin would be a great guy for that.
Yeah. So when you look at the free agency, I'll tell you a move I didn't love. I don't love Stefon Diggs to the Patriots for that number. Buffalo got better when he left. He was a 3 in Houston, and they just paid him number 1 money. And my take is the culture isn't set yet, and he can be a little noisy. Like in Houston, which is a city that like accepts noise, he could be a bit noisy.
Yeah.
And I don't love it. Again, Drake Maye is growing. He's not established. We surmised earlier today is they made that move because Cleveland's going to take Shedeur, and then the Giants are going to take Travis Hunter, and Mike knows. I got fired when I lost A.J. Brown. We don't have any receivers.
Yeah.
That they're looking at the draft and thinking, we're not going to get Travis Hunter. Is it possible that's what they're doing?
That could be possible, but, they need to upgrade the receiver room. And what you do get with Stefon Diggs is you get a professional. You ask anyone around town, anyone around the league. The guy works hard. He knows how to run every route, and he's a professional when he's in the building. Yes, there's antics, but number two, I like Mike Vrabel dealing with those antics because he dealt with A.J. Brown. He knows how to deal with a big-time receiver. We didn't hear anything out of A.J. Brown. He's a very, alpha type of guy that's played in the league that can communicate with these guys. And then number three, he's pissed off at the Bills still. Why wouldn't you want a little fire in a room, the receiver room for New England, that hasn't performed in years? Why wouldn't you want a little fire in there? That's what Stefon Diggs is going to bring. He's going to bring some urgency, which that room needs. He's going to bring some motivation. Yes, there's going to be some other stuff, but I trust that Mike Vrabel will take care of that. Yes, he's got a young quarterback in Drake Maye, but we saw last year how Stefon Diggs was with Stroud. He was a different guy than he was with Allen. He understood. He matured a little bit over the year. He evolved his game and his attitude, and I expect him to do the same thing in here. And if you look at the money, what's it, a 3-year deal, $36 million guaranteed? That's a 2-year, or 37, that's a 2-year, $15 million deal. Guys are making $40 million now a year. So that's not a big deal. That's where he's probably slated for the receiver he is in his career.
When you were with the Patriots, and the Patriots missed on a lot of receivers, and so after Chad Jackson, they sort of stopped until N'Keal Harry. They didn't draft a lot of first-round guys. How long would it take you, when you're with a good football team, New England, to realize, that draft pick can play and that guy can't? Every team has busts. Every single team. The great GMs have whiffed. Bill Polian whiffed. Were there times after the draft, first camp, you're like, don't think that guy's going to make it?
Yeah, plenty of times.
Wow.
If you're a first-round guy, you got a superpower of some sort.
Right.
So you want to see that superpower. And yes, you're in diapers with, shells and off-season workouts, but there's always something that you can see, an explosive movement, a guy body up a guy for the ball and steal it like he's a little kid, or the speed of some guy. You see that first-round talent, where something is, if he's going to be able to help right away.
Yeah. So I'm a fan of Shedeur Sanders. And one of the reasons I'm a fan is he had a terrible O-line in college. Mm-hmm. He trailed in all the games. He had no run game. And he completed 74% of his throws. So you played with arguably the most accurate, consistently accurate quarterback. Certainly the best bad weather thrower I've ever seen in Brady. And my thing is, some guys are accurate and some guys aren't. And Cam was never going to complete 68%. Anthony Richardson's not that accurate. I watched Shedeur and I'm like, bro is running for his life, trailing, so everybody knows he's throwing. 74%. I don't believe you can go from inaccurate to really accurate. And so now you can go from inaccurate to 61%. But in all your years of all the backups, wasn't Garoppolo accurate early?
Yeah, he was very accurate.
You quarterbacked.
Yeah, I wasn't accurate. That's why I went to receiver. With Shedeur, for me, it's not the accuracy. And you look at all the stats, he was sacked the most the last 2 years, his career in college, he's been sacked the most, set a few records on that, which, a lot of the times, yes, it's the offensive line's fault, but it's also, it could be the quarterback's fault. So some of those can be on him. My number one thing with Shedeur is, can he break down the protections? He's not a mobile guy. He's a pocket passer. We all keep on saying he's a pocket passer. So for me, if I'm a general manager, if I'm a team, I want to see how good he is with his protections, because there's going to be a day where your left tackle he's not going to be able to block the guy across from him. So you're going to have to slide the protection. You're going to have to get the ball out quicker. You're going to have to adjust your game. So him being able to adjust his game over these last couple years because of all the pressure, that could help him, but it also could hurt him because now he holds on to the ball too long. It's ultimately going to come down to the offensive coordinator he gets paired up with and that relationship and how he handles protections.
Brock Purdy is trying to get a massive deal.
Yeah.
And the Niners have publicly stated, we're not handing out cash like we used to. In your years in the NFL, if a guy signs a deal and doesn't get what he wants, is there resentment?
I may have resented Bill every dang contract I signed.
Really? I mean,
No, usually a deal. Usually they find a place where both ends are happy.
and you found a place.
I found a place. I understood I wasn't gonna, for me personally, I always took team-friendly-ish deals because I understood what I was a part of. I understood that I'd have my most success in New England because we were winning. I understood that, if I go to another team and that coaching staff gets fired and you're in the middle of nowhere and you ain't making no money off the field, like, I understood all that when I was signing with New England. I think that's a huge part of the evaluation process for the player and the situation. A lot of the times guys, want the biggest dollar, but, for instance, you look at, like, Darnold. He goes and he signs with Seattle. I wonder, what was the number that Minnesota signed him for? Because he's basically playing a one-year deal with a team that he doesn't know, and he's going to try to hit free agency again.
And a defensive coach.
I would have took probably $6-7 million less to have my one-year deal with Justin Jefferson and Addison and a coach that knows how to call plays for me if I'm going to try to hit it again, even if I wasn't going to be the guy this year. That's kind of what you're evaluating as a player. It's not just the most money. If that's your goal, there's other ways to make the money. It's not always about doing it on the field. It's doing it through your winning, through the community of where you're at. And those are all part of that evaluation process for the players. So, that's the real thing. What was that number that Sam Darnold or the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold didn't get?
I think most of the smart athletes get winning trumps everything, because when your career ends, you'll get more deals. And the deals now on social media alone are seven-figure deals.
Without a doubt.
Podcasting deals.
Without a doubt. So I think players should really take a look at that when they're looking at, if their number one goal is money, okay, you got to look at everything. Because when you win and you're a champion, you make that money forever. You may not make the money up front like you're making when you're, at a team that's 4-13 and you guys don't make the playoffs, but you're the highest paid guy in the league. If that's your goal, that's your goal. But you could also make money the other way.
Finally, I thought it was interesting. Tom Brady was quoted. Tom came out with it. This isn't speculation. He said, eventually, I took a piece of paper and a pen and I wrote down things that mattered to me between Tampa and New England. And he acknowledges they had really good receivers.
Yeah.
That was really important. He's like, also the coach was offensive. The weather was better. I didn't want to play in cold weather. And he acknowledged, he goes, we reached a point where tension, it was inevitable. I had to leave. And I'll say this now, and I'll ask this because it's out there. Tom's acknowledging the tension. Do you remember the first time? The first time I knew Tom was leaving is when he screamed at the wide receivers, get open! And it was on television. I thought, okay, I'm seeing publicly frustrated Tom with his personnel. That's why I wasn't shocked when he went to Tampa. And he also liked the Chargers that had Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. He wanted receivers.
Yeah.
As you left, it's like, okay, Gronk aged. Do you remember the first time you thought, Tom's cranky today, or Bill treated him away and you didn't like it?
Bill was tough on everyone. And I don't know if I had my blinders on and I thought everyone was on the same table. I may have. So if he got into Tom, he got into Tom. If he got into Vince, he got into Vince. If he got into Ninkovich, he got into Ninkovich. If he got into Slater, he got into Slater. But when it was Tom, it was different. And the thing is, Tom, he had a really good poker face. Even when you could tell when he had his feelings hurt or he was maybe a little frustrated with certain things, he didn't let it affect him. And that's why he's an ultra leader. And that's why he's the greatest leader of all time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we all kind of knew what was going on.
You did.
You felt the tension, but you didn't see it from Tom. He didn't show nobody.
He didn't let it seep in.
He didn't let it seep in. He went to work. He was the same guy every day. He like, yes, emotions in the game when he says, "Oh, get open, guys." That's going to happen. It's an emotional game. You're in the heat of battle. But like, you didn't really see any kind of frustration from Tom, and that's because he always had a real. I knew personally there were certain things, but you know, he never let everyone know, and that's what a good leader looks like.
Yeah. Games with names, new episode every Tuesday. Puka Nacua is on yours.
Puka Nacua is on mine.
Now, you got to tell him, stop talking about retirement.
I know, I agree. You can't.
I don't like it.
I don't either. I agree with you on that. I think he's just he was a little young, got a little excited in front of the microphone. You know, I'm telling you, sometimes you get comfortable in a setting and you start talking and you don't understand what you're saying. But you definitely don't want to tell an organization that you don't want to cap your career because
GMs don't care about work-life balance.
No, they don't. They don't. They care about this is a production business. That's what they say. And if he goes out, he balls and does it, it's fine. But still, you just gotta loose lips sink ships, bro.
And careers.
Yeah.
But
He'll be all right. He'll be all right.
He'll be all right. Julian Edelman, thanks, buddy. Good seeing you. Live in L.A., it's The Herd.